All right, welcome, Crossroads family. Good to see you. And I'm excited today. If you've been thinking about, and hopefully you have, about missions in your church, and it's a message that I've been really working hard to get with our pastors and to really begin to encourage them to think through what they're doing for missions. Then you're going to be excited about this conversation. I'm going to be talking to Tami Hubler, who is the Indiana WMU president. And so she is just a wealth of knowledge at a lot of different levels. And so, welcome, Tami. Good to see you.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you. I'm excited to be here. Hello, Crossroads family. I just am looking forward to spending this time with you and talking about missions.
Yeah, good stuff. Well, now, for those that may be uninitiated, not familiar with WMU, what is that? What does that stand for? And tell us a little bit about it.
Okay, so WMU stands for Women's Missionary Union, and it has been in existence for 135 years.
Whoa.
It began, yeah, it began in 1888, and it had one purpose, and it is to equip believers to be on mission with God. So, you may have heard of WMU, especially if you've been in the South. It is quite well known there. But the sole purpose, again, is equipping believers to live on mission for God, supporting our missionaries through prayer and giving, and actually even going beyond that with teaching, trying to get people engaged and involved in missions, and just developing that type of lifestyles to be everyday witnesses.
Gotcha. So, we and you and I have talked about this several times. So when we think of WMU, we're thinking women. Is this just for women?
No. While it was created by women back in 1888. At the time, there was a missionary meeting happening. The men were meeting, and the women were in a different area, just waiting on the men. And they thought, "Hey, what can we do?" And one of the things that came up was prayer. And so they began this group as praying for missionaries, but it's evolved much beyond that. And in fact, there are curriculums for named adult on missions. So if you go to the Birmingham, Alabama annual WMU meeting, it is not just women there. There are men there that are also serving. So the short answer is no, it is just not a women's group.
Right. And we're really, and I think that that's one of the important distinctions that even though people, when they think of WMU, and obviously with, the very first word being women, we want to really think that this is broadly for everyone to be involved in missions, right?
Absolutely. Yes. Women, men, children. Absolutely.
Now, so it used to be down. I mean, I pastored in the South, and so WMU was, just second nature to everybody. But here, it's not so much. Why, if somebody doesn't or has not been involved before, why is it important for a church to be involved or to even have a WMU within their church?
Indiana, and a lot of times the words used describe Indiana as like a pioneer state. We don't have the deep traditions of the South, and so many of our churches, we're welcoming people who may have never stepped foot in a church and don't have that family history or generational history of church culture. And so what WMU can do is, if you don't have missions in your church, or if you um, have some missionary activities, you can reach out to WMU, and we have so much information. Perhaps you'd like to discover the Annie Armstrong Easter offering, which supports North American missionaries, or maybe the Lottie Moon Christmas offering, which supports our international missionaries. Maybe you'd like to start a kids program that is focused on missions and sharing God, right? So there are so many things. In fact, I'm always amazed when I start digging in through the WMU website, how much training material, free material Did you know that you can get in contact? WMU can help you get in contact with missionaries who will come to your church and partner with you and speak and talk to your congregation. There's just so much there. So I mean, it seems like it's a underused resource in Indiana with a lot of networking and a lot of reach.
Right. Now, when you say so if somebody were to start to explore this, what would be kind of the path? In other words, they're thinking, man, I don't know what, this sounds this kind of maybe a direction that we want to explore some more. What's the 35,000 foot view? For WMU, what should they, if they go to the website, what are some of the things that they can focus in on?
High level, one of the first things you just want to do is get acquainted with the website, wmu.com, and you just go and you look through, go to the tab that says resources, and you start looking there. One of the most valuable resources I have found is something called Mission Mosaic, and it actually lists every single IMB, NAM missionary, retired missionaries, chaplains that are associated with Southern Baptists and NAM and IMB, and you can pray for them every day. And one of the things you will hear our missionaries say is that the day that that missionary is listed and you're praying for them is their birthday, and they know that people all around the world are praying for them. And so they will go and they will have big events. Like they will purposely plan intentionally big events for outreach. So because they know they're being covered in prayer. And our missionaries, above even financial support, they want our prayers. I would encourage people to start there. You can get a hard copy still of that magazine as well as a digital copy. And it's something that they have spotlights on missionaries. They have a lot of articles on how to start introducing missions into your church. And you don't have to say you're a WMU group. You can say we're a missions group, and people may understand that better than saying you're part of WMU, but you can use those resources to help support those mission type activities.
That's good. Well, and one thing's, and let me just speak to, kind of generationally, even, one of the things that I think all of us need to understand is that future missionaries are now sitting in our Sunday school classrooms. And one of the critical things that WMU historically has been involved in is that education level of children and inspiring, encouraging, getting kids excited about missions. And in fact, many missionaries will tell you that they really began to sense a call, during some of those WMU kind of educational resources in Sunday school. And so, when we're thinking long term, we want to think about that, start young, start early, begin to implant those stories and those things in the hearts of those children that they can catch that vision for missions in the future. Now, what do you, as far as Indiana goes, because that's kind of your bailiwick right now, what are you excited about that's going on with Indiana?
Oh my goodness, there are so many things. And I do want to touch as part of that excitement is just the outreach with children. WMU has so much curriculum on children. Perhaps some of your churches are more familiar with Awana, but they have a curriculum that is sort of reflects what Awana does, Mission Friends, Girls in Action, Royal Ambassadors, Children in Action, Act Teens, and Crossroads has a the invaluable resource in Allison Kenyon, who is deeply steeped and entrenched in knowledge on WMU and actually leads those types of children's programs in her church. So, definitely reach out to Allison for any other questions that you may have on whether it's kids program or WMU itself. So, first and foremost, I'm super excited about the information that we're starting to provide churches with children's programs. The other thing that is happening is WMU in the last couple of years has evolved. We have our own blog now, Indiana WMU. It's a website type blog. We post a lot of different articles on whether it's the SBC church calendar and that calendar events, or Missions Lifeline is an annual event. This year it
That's
is
coming out,
on
right?
set. Yeah, it's coming up Saturday, August 15th, and we're super excited. We have a kids curriculum that's going to be there. So adults, it's a family event. We are also working closely with NAM and IMB on developing partnerships for the first time ever in our history in Indiana. Indiana WMU is going to be hosting a mission trip to Mexico City. And we've been working with IMB. Some of you may be familiar with the names Lori and Gary Jones. They're actually serving out in the field and they're helping us connect with a new missionary team in Mexico City near a college campus. And we are planning a discovery trip in September. And then the first half of next year, we will be opening that up and asking churches if anyone wants to come join us on that first trip and really start connecting with that missionary and their team. And you can have a very close relationship. Um, we're also advertising send relief missions. There's just so much that's happening. And the biggest thing of all is, for me at least, is there's been a lot of years where um, we haven't really grown, and COVID did a number on us,
Oh,
just like
sure.
with our churches, right? But in the last 18 months, we've had women from other associations that have come up, and our core team has doubled in the last 18 months with volunteers very interested in missions and learning more about how to become involved in missions. So we see God moving in this area of missions and that interest amongst our churches.
Man, that's fantastic. So, so what would be the next step? So you talked about go to the website. So if a church, or some members or a pastor says, "Hey, listen, we want to really dip our toe in this," what's kind of the next step? What do they need to do from there? Just lay that out. What would be next steps?
Absolutely. One of the easiest things you can do is if you go to the National WMU website, there is a contact button. And when you hit that and you say, I want more information, that your email goes directly to us in Indiana WMU, and we can reach out or we can send you a little packet that is sort of a startup packet, just a little sprinkling of different things that we would suggest that would help you get involved. So it's really easy to do that. And
Awesome.
I would suggest that process. Or you could reach out to Allison in your own association, and she would be happy to connect you with resources. You can reach out to me as well, and I would be ecstatic to be able to provide those as well.
Yeah, that'd be fantastic. Well, and I think, thinking through, I think it would be a great goal to have somebody in each church that would be kind of that contact person, that go-to person to say, hey, listen, you're that person. Go glean some of that information, bring it back, help us to understand. Because I've checked out some of the stuff. It really is overwhelming, all the things that you guys have going on. And again, we want to emphasize here that it's not just women, but the fact is it's everybody on mission. It's like how, and WMU can be that vehicle that's already, had all this history, and all the things, all the resources available. So, man, if there was any way that can get a hold of somebody, that would be fantastic to have somebody in every church that would be kind of that contact point. Um, well, and so what do you think, this discovery trip, and some of the other things coming down the pike? What would you say are some of the biggest challenges that would be, involved in missions work and in thinking through this?
Based on what we were just talking about with churches,
Yeah.
I really believe that, and I was in that group myself in the past where I was 100% for missions, but I wasn't thinking of myself as a missionary, right? Like 100% for raising money, for giving, for praying. But the Great Commission isn't just reserved for missionaries, in the stereotypical fashion that we think cross oceans into different countries, right? It actually begins with just us as ordinary believers. That is the Great Commission. It wasn't just for certain people, it's for all of us. And I think that is a big obstacle. And to your comment of, you know, how we want a point person in each church, I would again, you're part of a congregation, your church very well. Even if it's you have an event and you invite a missionary, and we can absolutely help you get connected. This SCBI can also get you connected with missionaries. It's really a lot easier than you think. And you bring a missionary in-house, and they just share about their lives and about what God's doing there. Your congregation has will then have a personal relationship with someone who is on mission, and it just starts growing. You just start planting the seeds, and I think you would be very surprised at how quickly people become involved, and then all of a sudden they're going on mission. And so in different ways, locally, state, national, international. You don't have to be on an international mission trip. There are local things you can do in your community as well. So it runs the gamut, but I really believe that the hurdle is, wow, in our minds, it's someone else that I'm
Mm.
supporting that's doing mission work elsewhere, not really realizing it's us as well
Yeah.
that is part of that commandment.
Yeah. Yeah. God's calling all of us. We're all.
Yeah, you don't get out, you don't get out of it.
That's right. That's right. Well, and here's the thing is that, and we're, for Crossroads from our side, I'm excited about what you guys are doing, because it's amazing how that God has been working, at the associational level, that we are headed exactly in that same direction, trying to get our pastors on the field, trying to get as many churches, just to engage with missions at some level, at whatever level that may be. And that's again, local missions or international missions. And so, the exciting thing is that if you can just have a taste of it that first time,
Yes.
and God is going to do something in your heart, that is just no way to substitute it. I mean, people, every time somebody comes back from some kind of missions engagement, they're just like on fire with, something back at their own
Yeah.
church and going, hey, man, we need to be, reaching out to the lost, and not just here, but all these other places. And how can
Mhm.
how can we support one another and partner with one another? So yeah, it's exciting times. Well, Tami, thank you so much for sharing. And man, praying for you and praying for the future of what WMU is going to do, and excited about these coming events. So we'll have those things posted. The Missions Lifeline. And now, when is the Discovery trip? Is that something that's on the calendar now for Mexico City?
It is, I can't recall the exact date, but it is in September.
September. Okay, wow. So it's right around the corner
Yeah,
too.
it's right around the corner.
Okay, fantastic. Yeah, and if you could send me that, then we'll get that posted as well. And
Absolutely.
man, let's Crossroads, let's get this thing rolling, and see what amazing things that God can do, through us, and through just a passion for missions. So thanks again, Tami. Appreciate you and appreciate all you do. And Crossroads family, we will see you the next time.